There's a critical link between tourism and economic and workforce development. Tera Roughley with the Huntington County Visitor Bureau is here to talk about that on the Midwest Flourish. Greetings, I'm Rick Farrant, and I'm your host for the Midwest Flourish. Today our guest is Tera Roughley. She's the relatively new Executive Director of the Huntington County Visitor Bureau. Welcome, Tera.
It's so nice to be here.
Yeah. I wanted to start out with one subject, which is oftentimes you think about visitor bureaus, sometimes they're called visitor bureaus, but you think of them as sort of these, I don't know, friendly organizations that invite people into a community and they tell them about their festivals and their, the various things to do. But really there is a connection, right, in what the Visitors Bureau does and economic and workforce development. Maybe you can just talk a little bit about those connections.
Yeah, I think sometimes people have the misconception that visitor bureaus just promote fun things to do, events and such, but really we're the backbone or front door for economic development. And what we're doing is bringing money and tax revenue money into the communities. When people spend money at wineries, shops, festivals, events, truly it's bringing economic development and workforce because all those waitresses and is bringing revenue into Huntington.
Yeah. But which is, and they're both probably important, but which is more important? Is it getting people simply to visit Huntington County, or is it eventually, because of that visit, encouraging them to stay and work and live in the county?
Well, when people ask me something like that, I usually just say it's a journey. Sometimes we just get them to visit, then they fall in love, and then they decide to visit. And possibly the next step would be for them to live there.
Yeah, I mean, is that the ultimate goal, though? Is it okay if you just get some visitors and they're putting some money into the coffers? I mean, are both of those okay, or is the ultimate goal is to get people to come to Huntington County and bring their talents or whatever else they have with them?
I think both is amazing. I think it takes both to make a successful community. I'll always thrive to get people to enjoy and love our Huntington County.
Yeah. How are you getting the word out now about Huntington County, and who are some of the partners that are helping you get that word out?
Well, it's definitely a collaborative event. I work with the Chambers of Commerces in each of my towns, and I also work with the beautification of Roanoke. I work with the Parks Department. I work with business owners and event planners. I like to be in tune with what's going on in Huntington County, and I love all of our people in Huntington County.
Yeah. Well, I would hope that you love all the people. And I'm actually going to skip to something here. Initially, you had some questions, but Huntington County, there's a lot of diversity in what the towns are like in Huntington County, right? So a lot of people know about Roanoke and sort of an artsy community, and but then you also have some more rural, maybe traditional rural. How do you make sure that all of the towns and villages in your county get an adequate amount of representation? How does that happen?
I run around with my head cut off.
That's fair, right? But it is difficult because you're not just promoting one kind of community. Mm-hmm. You're promoting many communities that have their own unique characteristics. And I'm just wondering how you other than running around with your head cut off, how you manage to do that.
Well, what I do is I collaborate with many towns, and be very active, and I want everyone to feel seen and that I am loving on them. I want to make sure that everyone feels seen, so I make it a point to work and collaborate with each leader of those counties and make sure that I'm a part of their community.
Yeah.
So I was born and raised in Andrews, Indiana, mm-hmm. and then I moved to Huntington, and then I moved to Roanoke and lived there for over a decade. and my sister lives in Warren, and I'm very active in their community as well. So I feel very connected and collaborative with each community.
Yeah. One of the things about a lot of let's look at it from a county perspective. There's been a lot of talk in Northeast Indiana, like for instance, especially in Allen County where Fort Wayne is located, about is there an identifier, as in a single identifier that says this is a destination, whether it's a destination for a visit or it's a destination for living and working there. And I've sensed that over the years, communities, counties, regions that don't have that continue to struggle, right? And so you have some in the country that have that. Like if you think about Nashville, what do you think about? You think about music, right? I mean,
Right.
you have places in the country that are known for one thing, maybe two things. Have you given any thought to what you would want Huntington County to be known for? Because you've listed a lot of things on your website, and I wrote some of those down. You know, it's
Hiking.
it's rivers, it's family farms, it's art, it's camping, it's hiking. You've listed a whole bunch of things on your website. But is there one thing that you think you want to identify as this is our drawing card?
Well, I would never want to shrink us into one identity. I would like to showcase everything that we have to offer. I know some people focus on one specific thing, but truly we have a lot to offer, and I would never want to not tell our full story.
Yeah, yeah. But you know, up north, you have a couple of counties that are touting water. And they are, right? I mean, I think of Steuben County, I think of, Noble County, and one of their
Kosciuszko.
and that one things they're doing is it's water. And
Yeah.
that's why I asked the question about and it works, right? It works to a certain extent. It's like saying, oh yeah, I know what's going on in that county, and they may list that one thing. That's why I mentioned that to you.
Yeah. Well, it's a year-round of events that we have here in
Because frankly,
Huntington.
can I just say, I don't know what Huntington County's identity is, and I've lived in this area for like 25 years, and I would have a very hard time describing to someone and saying, this is what Huntington County is all about. I'm being honest.
I understand. Well, it's about good people that are full of charm, and we have a historic downtowns that are just beautiful, that are vibrant. We have parks. We have the Sunken Gardens that is beautiful. I think that we have 3 wineries in Huntington County, so I think that there's plenty to discover and explore and have fun at.
Yeah. Do you sense that, how much competition is there between the counties in trying to attract people? So I know that the Lidos, who are the local economic development officials, they signed a pact years ago. And the pact, I may get this somewhat wrong, but the pact went something like, they're really not going to compete for business, right, for business attraction. So that if a prospective business comes into a county and that county does not have the resources, they don't have the infrastructure to support them, that county will contact another county or several other counties and say, hey, we've got this prospect. We can't accommodate them, but perhaps you can. And so there's a lot of working together. In the visitor space, how much of that working together is done?
There's quite a bit. We always work together collaboratively and see what the need is and see what we can do to accommodate to make it happen for Huntington County.
But you know where I'm going. I mean, but seriously, I mean, you're in competition with other areas of the region. That's just a fact. So how do you deal with that? That's the kind of cooperation that I was looking at was, I'm going to assume all the visitors bureaus don't get together, but maybe they do.
We do.
You do. So
we have a East Region tourism group that I'm a part of, and we've met even in Shipshewana and see how we can collectively work together to help each other out, because we are in this together.
Yeah.
We want to showcase what we have in store in this region.
Yeah.
So it's really been nice meeting and speaking with them. I know I've only been in my role for 6 months.
I got that. Yeah.
But It's been great. We've been working on, like, if there's like a big expensive like ad that we could be a part of and be in a book or something like that, we can then, piece it out to make it feasible for all of us to be included, and it makes it work.
Yeah, have you encountered situations where, one visitor bureau, one region may be talking up another one if they're talking to somebody and they're saying, well, you might want to take a look at this, whatever it is, over here. Does that happen?
It does, actually. I really love the person in Wells County. We've met and talked about, things that we do in our role, and it's been really nice getting to know her. And I know I went to Wabash County this past week, and we were talking about trolleys and Trolley 85. So we work very closely together and try to work together to see how we can help each other.
Right. Because one of the things that we talk about a lot, especially like in workforce development, is that county lines they don't necessarily define people's behavior, right? And so if you have somebody that's like looking for something to do on weekends or they're kind of exploring, they don't limit themselves to a county line, right? They are looking for things to do in the region. And that's why I think it would be important that you are all working together, right?
Yes, if they're on a road trip, they will go and say, okay, I want to go here. If they're checking out like a winery or something like that, they could go throughout the town. And then after they cross county line, then they can go to another town. And it may work together as creating a tour or something like that. So then it helps both of us out.
Absolutely.
I know Dash 90 is on the right on the line for Wells County and Huntington County. So I just think that would be essential to work together to help promote that.
Yeah.
This attraction.
Yeah. You're very passionate about the arts.
I am.
Yeah. And you've also mentioned that as one of them. But, there are, especially in the economic development space, there are people who think the arts are kind of superfluous, right? That they really don't have a significant role, in particular, attracting business, right? What's your view on that? I mean, really, there have been controversies.
Really?
Sure. Mural projects, like, do murals actually bring in revenue? Do they actually bring in businesses? Do they actually help retain businesses? What's your view on the value of arts?
I think they're wonderful. I think they give us a backdrop and helps tell our story of our community. And it makes those moments just measurable because then they can just take that Instagram picture, and then people can post it and see all the great things that are going on in Huntington County. I think if you look at any thriving community, you'll see an art community there.
I agree with you. And one thing that I think about when I think about arts is I've been to communities, not here, elsewhere. I went to several in North Carolina, for instance, where there were murals. Mm-hmm. And the murals were not just touting amenities, they were actually touting famous people who had come from that community. And then when I reflected on that, I realized that not just because of the murals, but in part because of them, I remember that community.
Leaves a lasting impression.
It does leave a lasting impression.
You leave like you felt something.
And I feel like, and I think this may be what you were, the direction you were going in your answer, I think it does show that the community cares about itself. So, yeah.
We have community love, that's for sure. It's, I think also I just went to a gala from the Art Center, and I look at things, and it was downtown at the county courthouse. And I just look around, and the room was filled. And if that art center didn't have the art gala, that means all those people that would not have knowingly been there, they just wouldn't have been there if they didn't have that community there. And so it brought all those people downtown. And then before the gala, they could have dinner or drinks. And then after the gala, everyone did the nightlife. The bars were full. And so it definitely, created a potential for the nightlife bars basically to be filled and generating revenue.
Yeah, yeah. So I wasn't really trying to throw a negative at you. I just know
Okay.
that I just know that there are some people in the economic development space that consider that to be kind of a throwaway. Um, how how is the Visitors Bureau funded right now, and do you anticipate any changes in how it's going to be funding? So where do you get your money to carry out your activities now?
So currently we are funded by innkeeper's tax at 5%. We've been at 5% since 1991. So what I say with tax revenue or that tax money given to us, it's just a reinvestment because all the money goes back into promoting Huntington County, and it's just a reinvestment of the innkeeper's tax.
Okay. Do you anticipate that changing? I mean, if you've had a 5% since 1991, that's a long time without a change.
I know many communities have been raising their innkeeper's tax to 8%. I know Fort Wayne and Indianapolis and other locations have higher ones. But that is something that we have been talking about in the Indiana Tourism Association.
Yeah. I mean, have you been talking about it in Huntington County? Are you considering proposing that tax be raised?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Well, I worded that carefully. I said, are you considering proposing doing it? Yeah.
I've began getting my letters of support.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know how much that would be?
Oh, I'm just thinking of 3% to make us the same as other neighboring towns, basically, to keep us at an even level.
Yeah, I mean, I realize that, well, that's, yes, that would be one argument, right? So that you're at the same level and you have this, you all have similar resources in order to promote your counties. I assume you've done the math, right? I mean, it's not just about that. Do you feel like aside from you're talking about comparing with other counties, do you feel like you don't have enough money right now to do what needs to be done for Huntington County?
I think it's time. I think that we could be a better resource with that 3%.
Yeah, yeah. I'm curious, how often do people in the community, without you reaching out to them, actually view the Visitor Bureau as an asset?
I think a lot of people really love the Visitor Bureau. They know that I'm super supportive, and they know that I'm ready to help them in any way possible. I've made sure that I've reached out. Recently, we just updated all of our maps. We did Roanoke, Huntington, Warren. And I made sure to hand them out throughout each town. And, they were nice because they're updated and accurate. So they feel supported, and I was able to talk to all the business owners, and they know how to contact me, and they see me around town all the time. So I've began working on a relationship with all of them, and it's been wonderful. That's why I just love my community so much, because we have some good people there.
Yeah, and people are a real key to selling an area, right? I realize you've only been on the job for 6 months, but how much work have you done, or how much work do you anticipate doing in trying to encourage the existing citizens of Huntington County that, aside from websites and news releases and your voice, they really become the most important promoters of that place as a place to work and live? Have you talked to them about that? Do you have any plans for increasing that involvement?
So I call them my ambassadors. They're my ambassadors of Huntington County. I definitely like when people are promoters, and I feel as if sometimes people who live there, sometimes they don't see the charm, or because they've lived there. So I like when people see it from a fresh eye, like a visitor's eye, or that they take in that natural charm, and they see the hospitality, they see the friendly faces. They're able to, just see it and know it, and it's exciting to see different businesses work together on projects, and they do a collaborative. Currently, the Huntington County businesses downtown with Main Street have created 8 additional events. So it's remarkable to see that this is the first year of those new 8 events, and this will be our second year for the Tenderloin Festival. And so I just think that
So give me an example of some of those events. What kind of events are we talking about that you're going to have?
so some are just like in April, we're going to do like something on books and stuff. And so we have a Turn the Page Books in Huntington County, and Rex Frederick is, has this beautiful bookstore, and it's going to be wonderful to showcase it. But then we have Homecraft, an elevated collective that will be making like bling on the books. And it's just a miraculous thing to see. But every month will be a different event. There'll be a Hispanic fiesta one month. It's just a different event. One's for pets and paws, you know what I mean? So it's a little bit different each month, and it's going to be new and exciting. So it's pretty great to see all these events be inspired and grow. That's never been before.
Yeah, who's supporting these events?
That's Sharon Metzger with Huntington Main Street.
Okay.
So I'm on the board there, and Sharon does wonderful things for our Huntington community. It's great to see.
So you mentioned Tenderloin, and I just don't know if this is a myth or this is real, right? I don't. That one restaurant in town, but I think anytime you hear about Huntington, they say, well, the Tenderloin was invented in Huntington.
It was.
Oh, come on now, really?
You heard it here first.
So what's the evidence of that?
Oh, there's been evidence from the beginning of time. It's Nick's Kitchen, and it's wonderful.
It is. It's Nick's Kitchen, but you're telling me that there was no such thing as a whopping pork tenderloin before that.
You have to come and try it.
Oh no, I have tried it.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, but I know I've had one of those tenderloins, but then I'm a relatively I'm a doubtful person. I'm a skeptic. Well, I'm a skeptic about a lot of things, but that's why I wanted to know. Really, did the giant pork tenderloin really get invented here?
It did.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, we call it our love language is our tenderloin.
Personally speaking, I can think of a lot of challenges in trying to promote Huntington County, and I'm not trying to be derisive about that, but there just really are. I mean, there are some significant challenges. I'd say that would be included in the downtown, which has, frankly, it struggled over the years. What do you see in your job are the greatest challenges right now moving forward?
I would think perception, possibly even from our community. I really like to showcase and do People Make the Place, which is concentrated on community spotlights. And also business owners. I would like to show more of pride of our community, and so that they can be a promoter for Huntington County as well. But that's my biggest obstacle right now, is to see people that maybe perceive it with not fresh eyes.
Yeah, and it comes from, you're talking about it's coming from within. It's actually, in many cases, it's coming from people within the community.
I did see pictures. I went to a Main Street event, and Bren Keplinger from the city was showing photos of what the downtown looked like 10 years ago, and then showed pictures of now today. And there's been so much growth.
Yeah. And I've recently, I'd say within the last year, I had the opportunity to be in Huntington several times for business meetings, and so I've noticed something. I mean, I've noticed some of those changes, but I still think it has a ways to go. Mm-hmm. Tera, how do you change the self-perception of a community? I mean, you're probably going to say I go around and talk to people and encourage them, but it may even take more than that. How do you turn around years of negative perception?
Well, one thing in hospitality has taught me was to listen, to what their feedback is and see what their concerns are, and then be concisive on what we can do to improve that.
Yeah.
I don't just have closed ears to it. I will hear them out and see what we can do to make a change.
In the couple minutes we have left, maybe 2 or 3 minutes that we have left, I want to talk about you a bit. So you've spent a lot of time in the hospitality industry, I noticed. How is that experience going to inform your journey now as the director of the Visitor Bureau?
Well, hospitality has taught me a lot. I love hospitality, but tourism is just a form of hospitality, just in a larger scale. So I'm able to anticipate what visitors want. They want to be wowed. They want, the red carpet to be gone down to them. They want to leave with a feeling like, wow, I felt a part of that community. And so I've been on both sides of the fence. Like, basically, I know what businesses need, and I also know what the visitors need. And so I think it's a perfect attribute to be in tourism, because I've done it since I was 18.
Yeah.
And I just love people, and I love to show these experiences that they can have. And, maybe one day they'll be like, oh, I remember when I first moved to Huntington. It was all because I went to the Forks of the Wabash, or, went on a hiking or fishing. And I fell in love with this community. I fell in love with how safe it was, and just fell in love with our community.
So 6 months on the job, last question, what keeps you up at night?
I would probably...
Literally or figuratively speaking?
Oh, no, some things do. I would say just making sure everybody's seen and heard and know that they have my support. I try to make sure that everybody feels seen on my page and I didn't leave anybody out. And, I just want to make sure everybody feels really supported by me.
Well, thank you for stopping by, Tera. Appreciate it. And good luck in your journey.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here.
That's a wrap on today's episode of the Midwest Flourish podcast. Want to dig deeper or get involved? Head to marketingthemidwest.com to explore how we can work together to empower your community to flourish. Let's keep the Midwest momentum going and shape the future of our region together.